You're listening to PetLifeRadio.com. Welcome to In a Perfect World. Kittens require special handling, but maybe not in the way we think. They are equal parts baby and cat, and both parts gotta have their needs acknowledged. I'm Pamela Merritt from The Way of Cats. My previous podcast was about picking the right kitten for us. Now I'd like to discuss how best to raise that kitten to a happy, well-adjusted adult, which is one of my favorite parts. The first thing to remember is that cats physically mature at different rates, and they do that mentally too. What I call alphas, the long, lean, oriental types of cats, can reach sexual maturity at 5 or 6 months, as I learned when a kitten who was too young sired a batch of kittens. While large-bodied, heavy-boned cats, usually gamma types, can take 4 years or more to completely develop physical maturity. My current alpha, Tristan, is 3 years old, but he still has a lot of kitten traits. While James Bond, mostly gamma, was dignified and mature when he was still a teenaged cat, 6 or 7 months old. Just like with people, maturation is a concept which varies by personality and how that personality is shaped by their environment. This process also does not come to a stop. It takes a lifetime to complete, and our kitten's learning curve need never end. However, when they are very young, the challenge seems to be getting it started. I'm referring to the kitten's attention span, which is what scientists like to call very, very tiny. This is why it is a mistake to think we are supposed to start training as soon as our kitten arrives in our home. Kitten childhood can stretch from under 6 weeks to over 6 months. Impressions are what we can create, and that should be our goal. Letting our kitten know that we love them and that we have their best interests at heart are the most important things we can convey to our tiny kitten. These are the only things we can convey when our kitten is so young and so clueless. When our kittens are tiny, we can keep plucking them off the drapes and hanging them on the scratching post instead. We can keep the litter box clean and handy and take them there shortly after meals. We can say ow when they are too rough. We can not play with them with our hands under the covers because this only lets them know that our feet moving under the covers are also playthings. These are all ways of guiding their instincts in ways which won't frighten them. I say this because kittens learn a lot during this time, but we can't do the complicated negotiations and create the deep understanding we can with an adult cat. Endless patience is required for a kitten to get it, and a lot of times it's so much easier to just put the delicate or tempting objects away for a few months. Kittens are not going to be thinking before they do something. Kittens don't think all that much. Of course, this is what makes them so charmingly goofy. They are all instincts and reactions and needs. It's very fortunate that we don't need to teach the kitten how to eat and drink and play and use the litter box, because we wouldn't get very far. Kittens are highly distractible and play until they drop. The window of time we have to make our impressions is opening all the time, but it closes just as quickly. We do best by being sad when they are on the drapes and happy when they are on the cat tree. The cat tree works better than the drapes. This is what we are trying to show them when we move them from one place to another. The kitten is going to automatically choose the cat tree once they understand that. Such environmental engineering works without us having to be imposing anything on the kitten. It's all part of kitten proofing. It's all part of kitten guiding. It's all part of making friends with our kitten. Being friends with our kitten is our most important task. Don't yell at the kitten, don't think they need discipline, and don't delude ourselves with how much understanding we can cram into that tiny little head. Remember, we chose this age. So we chose this experience. We can't speed it up. We can only enjoy it as it unfolds. It's very slow to accumulate, but they are learning. We have been thrown off by their physicality. With children, there are visual clues about how undeveloped they still are. Infants work their way up to rolling around on the floor. Toddlers have that characteristic wobbly walk and simple speech. We get constant reminders that they are humans who are not baked all the way through, and we still fall into the trap of expecting more than they can deliver. So I guess that it's no surprise that with kittens, we can be laughing at their constant antics and still be thinking, why won't they leave the computer wires alone? When they see something that would be fun to attack, they are going to attack it. There isn't any thought or any room for thought in any of this when the kitten is young. As they get to the point where their age is measured in months instead of weeks, they can develop an age-appropriate thought process. At 4 or 5 months, our kittens can be told things. We can give the advice of, think about it, before they climb or play with something inappropriate. If we have been tossing a toy to distract them from the thing they shouldn't be playing with, we can reach a point where they are thinking of it themselves, and they will seek out a toy instead of trouble. Patterns are taking hold. That is what we shape with our young kittens. Proper patterns of behavior. We can't tell them what we want them to do. We must show them. Scooping them up on our lap for a cuddle, giving them a treat when they come at the sound of their name, and announcing playtime when we take out a toy are all great ways to shape our kitten. Cats are planners. We can see this part of their brain when they do divert to a safe play area. They do grab a toy of their own instead of one of ours. For instance, our cat Tristan learned that if he wanted to be let back in after we let him out to play on the stairwell, he could ring the temple bells, which act as a doorbell in our apartment. So he would run down the stairs and play. He would come back up, and we would check by opening the door. If he was there on the doorstep, we would jingle the bells and let him in. It only took doing this twice for us to hear the little jingle from behind the closed door. Tristan loves working the levers of his world. He's a very smart little alpha, and he loves to come up with these kinds of things. Cause and effect is what they start learning now, and they never stop. By being alert to these situations and providing solutions to our kittens, we help them choose the correct course of action. This gets them our happy voice, a scritch under the chin, or a full body cuddle. They want more of that. Tristan was playing with my headphones, and I told him that he should remember he's not supposed to do that, and I gave him a chance to sit quietly on the computer desk while I recorded, and he didn't take it, so I told him, you had your chance, and I took him down from the table when he did that. This makes connections in his head for him. Oh, if I sit quietly, I'm not removed from the computer desk. If I play with the headphones, I'm removed from the computer desk. Cause and effect constantly being demonstrated to our kittens and then later on our cats, because Tristan is 3 and he should know better, but he's a perpetual baby and sometimes he has to be reminded. As much as we enjoy the tiny ones, we must remember that cuteness comes with a price. That price is constant vigilance. Remembering that we must scheme to show them things instead of relying on the simplicity of telling them things. But our reward is the ease of making connections with them at this age. They are sweet and trusting and easy to swap love with. We want to do that as much as possible. Just like humans, we will need it because we are approaching the teen years. I've got 3 years of kitten training on my wavecats.com website blog. Search for Tristan and follow the links to watch him grow up week by week. Don't go away. I'll be back with more In a Purrfect World.
We'll be right back, right after these messages. Stay tuned.
Molly, here's your dinner. Zeus, that's not your food.
Don't let that happen to your precious cat. Elevate your cat's eating experience with the Cat Tree Tray. The Cat Tree Tray keeps your cat's food off the floor and conveniently located on the cat tree. It's the perfect way to eat. It's a beautiful wrought iron tray that easily attaches to your cat tree and keeps dogs and other critters out of your cat's dish. A must for multi-pet households. There's a 6-inch tray for large bowls and a 4-inch tray for smaller bowls. Purchase your Cat Tree Tray today. Go right now to cattreetray.com. That's cattreetray.com. cattreetray.com.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
And we're back, talking about understanding our kittens, because that's how they grow into great cats. When our kitten starts morphing into a teen cat, they change. We have a wonderfully easy period where they have picked up on what works and have not yet been dealing with the challenges of adulthood. The 4, 5, 6 months period is usually when this starts. Our kitten has learned some behavior rules. They are becoming more independent about their care. They get into less trouble. They can still be nutty and high energy and thoughtless, but we see improvement. And then the mischief arrives in a truck. So what we have, just a couple of months after our kitten has successfully internalized the house rules, is a teen cat who is now testing those rules. RJ became quite the kitty lawyer. The holiday season arrived as he was 8 months old. We put up a fiber optic tree with ornaments wired in, and he did learn not to play with the tree. But he loved to play with its electrical cord and made the tree move that way. When I would warningly say, RJ, he would look up innocently. I'm not touching the tree. The teenage Tristan was even more of a handful. He didn't get so lonely in the middle of the night because he had learned to self-soothe by curling up next to me. When he would cry in the night, I would reach out, pet his little head, and place him on the bed near me so he could get the closeness he craved without disturbing us. This is how he learned to self-soothe, by curling up next to me. But his energy had increased to the point that we had to get him a cat tree. He slept right through the alarm after that, and Mr. Way of Cats admitted we should have gotten it sooner. One of the things that kept Tristan going through the night was that he had all this built-up energy that he needed to discharge. Hauling his own weight up and down the cat tree a few times a day was an excellent way of doing that, especially right before bedtime. Everything ramps up when our kitten starts becoming a teen cat. They are developing their powerful adult muscles, so the things they used to jump up on without a problem now get tipped over. The older cat who used to like wrestling with them might find them too rough now. They try to fit in small boxes and can't get under the couch like they used to, and dig in the litter with mad abandon. They are growing up and they don't realize it. Our teen cats struggle between the demands of their adult nature and the easy enjoyment of their kitten years. It can come as a shock to us that our delightfully cuddly kitten has become the dreaded aloof cat. We walk in the room expecting to be fussed over, and the big kitten has their back to us and is ignoring us, or so it seems. But abundant fuss is still around. We don't realize that our kitten is now asking for it to be our turn. They want to know if we will fuss over them unprompted, and so we should. We always need to be alert to signs our cats want affection, but this is especially true of cat adolescence. They are, like all teenagers, touchy and emotional at this time. So if they indicate they want some attention, we should strive to drop everything and give them some, even if it's some verbal affection if our hands are busy right now. Remember, we are still sometimes dealing with the short kitten attention span. I've found that cats can be extremely sensitive to possible rebuffs, so seek them out if we haven't seen them in a while. This will cover us if we missed a cue they were trying to throw out to us. Because this is cat poker. Everyone should play to win. Uncounted cat relationships have stumbled at this point. Yes, our kitten is becoming a cat, but that doesn't destroy this promising friendship. What will ruin the cat to come is if we decide they don't love us anymore. But they do. They just want an adult relationship with us, one where they don't have to do all the affection seeking. The next time we think our growing kitten is ignoring us, try this trick. When we see that little turn back, call their name. No matter how they respond, we act quietly thrilled to catch sight of them. We can exclaim over them like we haven't seen them in weeks. Very quietly and gently, of course, but with a lot of enthusiasm in our voice. Rub their head and scritch them under their chin, whatever they like. Then go about our business and see what happens next. In poker talk, we have seen our cat and raised the ante. Now they have to make a gesture back at us. Do we think we aren't getting enough affection from our cat? Maybe it's because we aren't priming the pump by giving enough affection. Part of the adult cat to come is confidence. We are seeing it getting built right in front of our eyes as our teen cat grows up. So they cannot be the goofy little beanhead kitten we once knew, at least not all the time. They also need to be independent, assertive, and able to make their own decisions. Like most teens, we might disagree with the ones they make, but they really need a chance to make them. This developmental period is probably the most sensitive part of our kitten's maturation. They are being pushed away from us by their instincts urging them towards independence. At the same time, their desire to be loved makes them long for closeness. This becomes our challenge as our baby cat grows in power. We can communicate enough to convey our wishes and do some cat training in earnest, because our teen cat actually sometimes has an attention span. They also wish to please us and not get into trouble, but they are driven to assert themselves and discover their own favorite things. So we should remember that our teen cat has all these conflicting emotions and thoughts churning through them. But don't worry, if we did our job right when they were tiny kittens, they love us very much. All we need to do is make the effort to let them know we love them back, and all will be well. We have another force developing, for good or bad, as our kitten starts to grow up. That is their intelligence. As kittens, it took a while for them to pay much attention to the all-important concept of cause and effect. They play, things fall over, it has nothing to do with them. But through repetition and with our help, the kittens learned the places to avoid and the games they needed to change. This process ramps up around the 6-month mark where they begin plotting. This is the first acceleration of our cat's intellect. It is a time of testing. They have the teenaged interest in boundaries and crossing them. So often, I admonish my growing kittens with, "You know better." And the facial expression I get back is always, "Yes, I do, but I don't know why." This is when real cat training can occur. We set our template when they were babies, and now we advance that template for the adult cat we are shaping. The worst thing we can do with our teen cat is accept what seems to be their aloofness and stop trying to connect. This is where the pernicious myth that grown-up cats cannot give affection comes from. People who do not understand that the teen cat is asking for parity and to be treated as a friend, not a toy. They want to take turns being the one to make the overtures, that's all. But if we don't know that, we turn our cat into someone who is aloof. Do we know how to handle our teen cat? Seek out thewavecats.com/blog and discover all my helpful articles about negotiating our cat's adolescence. Don't run away. I'll be back with tips about living in a perfect world.
We'll be right back, right after these messages. Stay tuned.
I love cleaning the litter box, said no one ever. Luckily, there's World's Best Cat Litter, the litter that promises less mess with less litter. Only World's Best Cat Litter uses the concentrated power of corn to quickly trap odors in tight clumps. And quick clumping means you never have to chisel or scrape the box. Less cleanup with less wasted litter? That's a litter bit amazing. Save $2 on World's Best Cat Litter. Visit www.saveonworldsbest.com.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
And we're back, talking about shaping the cat to come. Our kitten doesn't stop developing for years. We won't get adulthood before then. One of the challenges of the teen cat is that they are developing their adult brain. I love watching this process and being a part of it. This is where the mischief comes from, but also the concept of caution, and most of all, their incredible imagination. All cats use their imagination as part of their hunting strategy. They observe their prey, watch their movements and routines, then imagine themselves being stationed along various ambush routes. This capacity develops as the kitten grows. We can see how instincts combined with thought. Our kittens operate on instinct. This is why they leap on each other, pretending to disembowel each other, or giving the death blow bite to the back of the neck. They are imagining the ball of paper as prey, even though they don't know that is what they are doing. As they get older, it seems to get more deliberate. James Bond once left a toy mouse on the bed as a gift. He was pretending it was real and feeding us as a token of affection. But when Mr. Way of Cats pretended to eat it, he was horrified. He shot me a look that clearly stated, "Doesn't he know it's not real?" This is conceptual thinking, which indicates a lot of processing going on in their brains. Adolescence is when our cats' brains really start to expand and engage. This is part of the enjoyment as cats as pets. It's also a challenge. Cats don't want to be told what to do. Cats want to be negotiated with. Cats want to be persuaded. The tools we need are coming online right before our eyes. And one of the biggest is the simplest. It's fairness. Cats are usually described to have similar reasoning powers on the level of a 6-year-old child. I consider this impressive. Look at how much a 6-year-old human can figure out. While cats might be lacking in the mathematics and reading departments, being after all a different species, they shine in the interpreting and understanding behavior departments. These are abilities that are suited to our cat's natural environment, unchanged, even celebrated, as part of their vermin extermination skills in our own civilization. This is how we got together in the first place. So it is certainly within the cat's skill set to understand the concept of fairness as applied to themselves. This is where one of my most effective training concepts comes from. I call it yours and mine. When we attempt to change behavior by offering a suitable substitute, we are using fairness. We aren't asking the cat to give up wanting what they want. That is impossible. Instead, we ask the cat to want something else that is just as good. And yes, it does have to be just as good. By the cat's standards, not ours. We are meeting needs here, and we are not an expert on what the cat needs. The cat is. As our cat moves into their adolescence, all these forces come into play. They start having opinions and preferences, and these are not lightly held emotions either. These are positions our young cat's instincts tell them are life or death decisions. So in our cat's mind, and in our own, they have to be treated as life or death decisions. Trying to fool cats has 2 areas of pointlessness. Our cat knows when the thing being offered is not the thing they want. We must accept that we are offering a lesser alternative which might not be taken up on. The solution is not to try and force the cat to take our solution. We want to persuade the cat that they want our solution. This is how many cats and their people get into power struggles. When the cat wants something and their person can't give it to them, we have an area of continual conflict. These kinds of stalemates can be fixed when we remember our operating concept of fairness. Our cat is asking for that thing because this is just the best they can come up with to get their needs met. With our greater brain size and well-known human intellect, we can come up with something for them that works better. Can't we? Cats have a reputation for being fussy. I think that's because they are continually being offered the wrong things and can't help but turn down these things. Sure, they look stubborn and unreasonable when they keep rejecting our offers, but that is because they can't take the wrong thing and like it. They can't settle because of that life or death thing in the back of their head. But this has a good side. The good side is when they do take our offer, and it makes them happy. They are thrilled we care. They are thrilled we have done something for them. We shut off the crying and the asking and the paw of complaint. We are now both happy and fulfilled, and it's all because we've been fair to both of us. This is how we will handle disagreement with our cats from now on. by coming up with a way to meet their needs which does not get either of us into trouble. And it starts here, as they are developing their adult brains. And we should remember that fairness extends into the realm of affection, too. This is when our cats start to love the classic I call petting in place. Petting in place is when we start treating our cat as an adult when we pet them. This means wherever they are, we don't move them. We don't scoop them up necessarily. We let them keep their feet on the ground and we bend down and run our hand along their spine or give them the chest scritch or pet with both hands. Anything they like, but we are extending this affection and considering its impact on us as equals. Our cat might have been on the way to do something important. Our cat doesn't necessarily want, at this point in time, to be scooped up like a kitten and draped over our necks. Sometimes the cat does love this. Sometimes the cat wants to be treated as a fellow adult and met on an equal playing field. Much like adult humans shake hands. We don't always grab our favorite friend up in a big bear hug and lift them off their feet and tickle their belly. Sometimes we want the dignified adult of, hey, how you doing? And that is what petting in place does for us. Meeting our cats as equals. Fairness in affection. I do love Cat Adolescence, even with its pitfalls and bouts of independence and completely forgetting the rules of the house that they try to pull on us. I see it as making one of those cakes with the swirls in them. You know the one I mean with it's a vanilla cake but it's got swirls of chocolate in it, or it's a pan of brownies with the cheesecake swirls. This is when we mix two flavors of batter together, but not too much. Our cat will always have their kitten side, but as their adult brain becomes more and more developed, it swirls around the kitteny parts and takes on more and more of the operational actions. But just like that bit of chocolate or cheesecake, our cat's kitten side is still there. We can still reach it and enjoy our cat's kitteny side at any age and at most times. We just need to keep that trust flowing and develop our cat's adult relationship so that they trust us enough to be that cute little beanhead we once knew. That wraps it up for right now. If you want more Way of Cats, visit my website, wayofcats.com, where I have a blog that covers all kinds of different aspects of kitten raising, that vital yet often little understood skill. But it is an important part of our toolbox as we build in a perfect world.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.